Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Gem Hunter Show. My name is Barry Mixon and I will be your guide through the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry. This is all part of the romance month, so let me start up by asking you, do you remember a movie that came out, I think it was like 2013? It was called The Great Gatsby. And there's a scene in that movie I thought was very romantic. The protagonist in the show was the Gatsby. I think his name was John Gatsby, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. And he was telling about when he first met this woman named Daisy. And now the Gatsby, if you followed the story, well, he had everything. He had a chateau, lavish parties during the 1920s. He had everything a man could ever want for, except this woman named Daisy. And when he was telling this person who was writing his story, the first time he kissed Daisy, he described it as how when he met her, he knew that he could rise to the highest levels that any man could ever want. But he knew that if he kissed her, this is before he kissed her, he knew that if he kissed her, that his mind would no longer be able to romp like the mind of God. And he paused for a second and he let himself go. And the movie was very bittersweet because despite the fact that how much he loved her, how much he totally adored this woman, it didn't work out well for him at the end. And I tell that story because that's kind of the story in regards to diamonds and, more importantly, engagement rings. So let me start by saying behind me, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the world's only all diamond engagement ring. This whole ring is made up of diamonds. It is a VS1 diamond, E-colored. It was created by a company called Shonix Geneva. It was made in 2012. And the cost of this diamond ring is somewhere over $70 million. This is the ring. I think it's a size 7. If you were looking for a ring in your size, guys, you were looking for the ring to buy your girl, this is the ring. In fact, I can give it to you for a discount. When we talk about engagement rings, when we talk about diamonds, let me set you up straight for a couple of things. First of all, diamonds are not forever. Diamonds actually are not rare. Diamonds can be found all over the world. Diamonds are not only just not rare, but diamonds are, and we're going to get into the chemistry of it, diamonds are what's called allotrope. An allotrope is an element or is a substance that's made of an element, in this case, carbon. Carbon is the fourth most abundant element in the whole universe. 99% of our bodies are made out of carbon. And what diamonds do, think of a metal fence. If you have a metal fence, this is the basic structure. The difference between a diamond and a pencil, which has graphite, is that a pencil structure is basically the fence piled on top of each other, loosely bounded. Whereas the diamond has that same fence structure, but it's changed vertically. So now you have not only the bonds holding it between vertically, but you also have it horizontally. And that is the structure of a diamond. Problem with the diamond is everyone knows that the diamond is the most hardest substance known to man. But what people don't understand is that because it's the hardest substance, it's one of the most brittle. So the reason why this ring can be cut is because of its brittleness. In fact, it had to be cut with a laser. It took several months to do it. It started out with a 150 carat Brazilian diamond. Diamonds are also thermogenically problematic, meaning that all diamonds, the diamonds in my ear, the diamonds in my ring, any diamond that you own, are literally very, very slowly changing back into graphite. So they're thermogenically unstable. So the question is, How did a gemstone that's not rare, that is not necessarily, has really no value for it other than the fact the value that we put into it, how did this gemstone become the gemstone that all 80% of the women in the world have this as a symbol of their love? In fact, to the point where they feel if you're getting married and don't have an engagement ring, there's something wrong. All over the world, very few cultures don't have this tradition. And the answer is stories. Two stories in particular. The one story is a very old story, about 500 years old. And the other story is fairly new. So let's talk about the first story. Diamonds, what happened was, and let me go back to, in regards to diamonds. Diamonds were not really nothing. There was nothing to speak of diamonds until about 16, I'm sorry. Let's see what year it started. About 1867. But let's start. So we all know we know that diamonds were found in India and Brazil. But there was only maybe out of the year, maybe a few pounds of diamonds. Once diamonds were found in South Africa, and we all know that story. Some of us know that story. I've heard before. Diamonds were found in South Africa from a little boy named Erasmus Jacob. Erasmus was about 12 years old. He was playing with this stone. He was using it for marbles. This man named de Klerk was delivering farm equipment to his family's home. He saw the boy, Erasmus. I love that name, Erasmus. Wouldn't work today, but it's cool then. Erasmus was playing marbles, and de Klerk saw him playing with this stone. Now, de Klerk wasn't a gemologist. He just had an interest in pretty rocks. So when he looked at the stone, he saw his mother, Erasmus' mother, saw him looking at it and said, "Hey, do you know what that is?" Erasmus plays with it all the time. He says, "No, but can I take it and see what it is?" And it wound up being a 22 karat diamond, which they called the Eureka diamond, because they didn't know where diamonds really came from. Again, knowledge of diamonds started in India, but no one knew where diamonds actually came from. They just kind of appeared on riverbanks, things like this in India and in Brazil. When de Klerk ran it up the flagpole, found out it was a diamond, it was called the Eureka diamond. Created kind of a little bit of fanfare for a while, but it died down because they thought it was just a fluke. 2 years later, this man named Bowie, who was actually a sheep herder, he found this giant rock, and he went around town. This was around 1869. The diamond was actually found, the Eureka was found by 1867, 1868. So let's say 1866. So by 1869, Bowie found this giant stone. He didn't know what to do with it. He just found it, took it with him. He had his flock with him, and he was looking for a place to stay for the evening. He went around the town saying, "What will you give me for this?" The next to the last man, he went to the town. He said, "What will you give me for this?" The man said, "I don't want that. I don't play with rocks." But you go up the street, the clerk likes that kind of thing. When Bowie knocked on his door and said, "Sir, what will you give me for this?" The clerk didn't know what he had 3 years ago. But after experience and learning more about diamonds, he knew that stone that Bowie had was at least 4 times bigger than the stone that he got from Erasmus. So he gave him, he gave him 500 sheep, 10 oxen, and a horse. And that diamond wound up being the Star of South Africa, which I saw about maybe 7 years ago. Magnificent stone. It was cut. It's now a pear-shaped, flawless diamond, about 47 carats. And that's where diamonds started. So diamond production went from a few pounds to millions of metric tons of diamonds. Cecil Rhodes came into South Africa. Yes, that's Cecil Rhodes, the one that created the Rhodes Scholar. The Rhodes Scholar is named after that's Cecil Rhodes. When he first came to South Africa, he started the De Beers diamond mines. De Beers wasn't really the name of his name. His name was Rhodes. De Beers was actually the farm that the mine was found on. The two guys, there was 2 De Beers brothers. They didn't want anything to do with it. So they sold it to him for next to nothing. And he started the diamond, his, of course, company now called, we know as De Beers. The problem with De Beers was De Beers had all these millions and millions of stones. And after World War II, all the rich people, the monarchs, the kings, the queens, the nobles, there weren't as many of them. So he had this problem with having all these stones that were really worthless in regards to the general public. What do you do with them? So he created a story. He went to an advertising firm called N.V. Avers, and he created the greatest him and the advertising company created the greatest ad campaign ever. Two women, and actually in those days, advertising companies used women more often because they were selling to women. They wanted to find a way to take something that only rich people had or rich people were able to buy and take those same stones, decrease the supply purposefully. So now you made diamonds rare. And then he wanted to make diamonds, him and the advertising company wanted to make diamonds into something that you needed to have. So you use the story from 500 years ago. The first engagement ring actually came from a man named Maximilian. He was an archbishop. And of course, back in those days, the clergy was always moving up to more and more power. So he fell in love with a woman named Mary of Burgundy. Burgundy, or that region, is called Bruns. It's a area in Belgium. Now, the thing about Bruns was that it was the Silicon Valley of the 15th century. And one of the greatest things that came out of Bruns is a beautiful city. It's almost like it's called the Venice of Europe. If you ever get a chance to go, definitely. It has more castles than any countries in the world. But Bruns, back in those days, was known for quite a few things. Their linen, lace, and cutting diamonds. Diamonds were not faceted until about the 15th century. In fact, in India, when diamonds were found, they were just hung on the noble or monarchy's neck or their pendants or earrings, because to cut a diamond in those days were to cut their communication to God. They believed that diamonds were cell phones, in a sense, their way of communicating with God. And in those days, depending on your caste system, determined what color diamond that you would have. So Maximilian wanted to marry Mary in order to get the land that Mary controlled by being virtue of the princess of her king father, gave the father a freshly faceted diamond, because the father was into technology, and faceting diamonds was the new technology of the 15th century. There was no great romance. There was just literally couriers. He created the ring. He had the ring shipped to the father via courier. And then Mary got the ring. It was a ring shaped in the shape of an M. And I don't know what the M's, well, other than Mary. But we don't even know whether the M was really for Mary or was it just the shape that he made it in. But that was the original and the very first engagement ring in the world. What De Beers did was took that 1477 story, okay, that's when the ring was given, and they created it into something magical, something romantic. And what the two women from the Avers advertising company did is that they took that story and implanted it in the minds of the American population, most importantly into girls. So young women. So what you saw in the movies from the 40s and 50s, that's why you had all these movies dealing with diamonds. If the movie had something to do with gemstones, or they named the movie after gemstone, what these women did was make sure that the actors, the scenes, the sets always had diamonds. That's why you have the Betty Grables and the Elizabeth Taylors wearing diamonds, because it was literally the first example of product placement. So people, we, the general public, would see all our stars wearing diamonds. And then the greatest thing they did was they told the story that if your man really loves you, he will buy you a diamond. Then they started more. Not only if your man loves you, but they started out with a diamond costs this much. So if he loves you, he will take 1 month of his salary to get that diamond. And it went from 1 month, 2 months. You remember those ads? Well, 2 months will get you this diamond. And then they created what was judged as the greatest advertising campaign in the 20th century. Diamonds are forever. And now 80 to 90% of women all over the world wear engagement rings. In fact, expect engagement ring from, and I say women again, the person that you love expects an engagement ring because of those stories. And when I describe myself as a gemological storyteller, because to me, that's one of the greatest things about the history of gemstones, how it has affected us as a population, as a culture. No woman, if you knew a woman today saying, I'm getting married, the first thing you're going to expect is, let me see the ring. What kind of ring did he buy you? Or did she buy you? So gemstones, when you understand gemstones, you have to understand the significance that gemstone has played in human history. I mean, right now, diamonds, to buy a diamond, 1 carat diamond with everything going on, would run you at least $5,000. That's just for the stone. And then if you add whatever the metal of your choice is, of course, gold right now is going down, but gold is $1,800 an ounce. Platinum's a little less. If you want white gold, rhodium, which is what white gold is, gold is yellow. You put a coating of rhodium on it, and that's how you get white gold. Rhodium is going something like $22,000 an ounce. And all those things happen. The way we think about gemstones, the way we think of romance, comes from a story. And it's a fascinating to me how the whole history of mankind has come from those two stories. It wasn't really romantic. Nothing about it was romantic. We included the romance in it. We imbued that romance, just like Gatsby did. Gatsby never got a chance to be with that girl, but in his head, that one meeting that he had with her, he fell in love with her. And despite him having everything else, parties, clothes, castles, everything, he wanted that woman. And that's what we want. We want that diamond to us. In fact, that rapper who just put, I can't believe it, a pink diamond, which is extremely rare. Pink and red diamonds are extremely. He paid something like $22 million to have a Marquise cut pink diamond surgically implanted in his head. I don't know. I haven't read the paper or how he did it, but that is, again, nothing has value without a story. So the value of him doing that, the reason why he did that is because someone told him a story about gemstones, about diamonds. And he figured that if he put not just any diamond, but a pink diamond in the center of his forehead, which is really unique because the reason why science tells us that the reason why we want the things that we want is that there is a little structure in our head between our two hemispheres that controls the want factor. So the things that you want actually start from right here. So it's amazing that he put the diamond right there. And that's where our value and understanding for things. So diamonds do not have value. The only diamonds they have, the only value that they have is because of the value that we put in it. The belief that we have that when we are becoming more popular, making more money, then those are something that that's something that we should have. J-Lo has a 5 carat canary yellow diamond because of that. So that's the beginning of the first engagement ring. A lot of people get engaged during Valentine's Day. And I just want to let everyone know where the tradition begins. I see you next week with a very new story about gemstone. And until then, discover the value of your story. And okay, so sometimes I wait for Barbara to, so we're not here yet. So if you have any questions about gemstones in general, please send me an email at thegemhunter@mac.com, because I would love to engage with you in regards to answering questions. There's so many different stories about gemstones, about precious metals, about the history of it that most people don't know about. And that's really, to me, gemstones. When you look at a gemstone, when you wear it, you really, it's like an iceberg. That's only the tip of the iceberg. The 90% of what a gemstone is really contained in the stories. So that's why this company can make a $70 million diamond ring with the expectation that someone will buy it. In fact, I'll do the research to see if has it already been bought. It was made in 2012. I'm sure by now, this is 2021. I'm sure someone has bought it, that gemstone. So any questions you have, please send me email. I'll put it on the next show and I'll address that and tell you there's some kind of story about that. So until then, thank you so much. Have a great day. I hope your Valentine's Day was wonderful. And next thing, we'll probably talk about what are the 4 C's, because there used to be 5. But next week, we'll talk about the 4 C's of diamonds, so you become more knowledgeable of what you're looking for in a diamond. And I'm sorry, we're having not production problems. There's more things to talk about. So let's see what else we can talk about. So I already told you that diamonds are found 90 to 125 miles in the ground. They require a temperature of 3,600 degrees, 70,000 pounds per square inch pressure. And diamonds come up like a volcano. They come up what's called kimberlite pipes. And it travels at a speed of somewhere around 20 to 25 miles per hour. And if you don't have that situation, those conditions all the way up as it reaches the surface, you get a pencil. The graphite in a pencil, any pencil that you use, the graphite in the pencil is basically a diamond that didn't make it. And diamonds are at least 600 million years old. So when you wear the diamonds, you understand that this is something that has been around from the beginnings of the earth. Some diamonds are actually almost up to, I think, of 2 billion years old. So that is the romance of a diamond, is giving your loved one something that is that old, something that represents the love that you will have for that person, hopefully forever. That's the symbol of a diamond. That's what it means. Whether the fact that eventually it will turn back into graphite, none of us will be around for that long. None of us will be able to be 200-300 years old to see a diamond change back. Actually, probably would take even longer than that. But it's the symbol of it. If someone has this ring, if I gave someone this ring, it's beyond money. It's about being able to say that I love you so much that my love for you symbolizes the strength, the power, the hardness, the strength of what it means to have a diamond. To wear a diamond is a symbol of what you mean to me. And that's the romance of it. Maximilian did eventually go from being an archbishop to he was the first Holy Roman Emperor in the world. And it was because of that marriage or merger between him and Mary and that first diamond ring that allowed him to reach to that level. The father was happy, Mary was happy, and of course, Maximilian was happy because he reached that rank and stature in the life, and he got the land He acquired all the land that extended from France all the way into Belgium. And that was part of his reign as a result of that first engagement ring. So the next time, when you give, yeah, I said it like you get married every day, but when you decide to get married and you buy that engagement ring, think about the symbolism of it. Think about what it means, not just to the person that you're giving it to, but historically, what does it mean? Understand that that ring that you're buying, in a sense, is an heirloom. I am an appraiser of gemstones. And the beautiful thing about appraising gemstones is I hold in my hand things that last for hundreds, thousands of years. To realize that something is millions of years old, that's the significance of having a diamond. That's the significance of wearing that gemstone on your hand, on your neck, the diamonds. Well, one of these days we will talk about Elizabeth Taylor's diamonds and the significance of some of the gemstones that she had. All of we learned about the Hope diamond. Well, the Hope diamond was named after a man whose last name was Hope, and he also had a Hope pearl. So in future episodes, we will talk about the Hope diamond, the Hope pearl, and the significance of those gemstones to the history of gemology of the world. The Hope diamond still sits at the Smithsonian Institution right now. I don't know where the Hope pearl is. I think that is privately owned. So again, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you have someone ask me about aquamarine, and aquamarine is actually next month. It's the gemstone for March. And as I told you, aquamarine has the sister or the cousin of aquamarine is emerald. So when you have an aquamarine, you're actually holding a different type of beryl, which is what emeralds are. So again, it's important to create a dialogue. There's so many different stories that I can tell you about, but I think it would be even more engaging if you can ask those questions, because there's very few people that you can ask questions on in regards to what is a gemstone? Why does it there? What is the price? Why is gemstones $5,000 an ounce? Why is gold $1,800 an ounce right now? So again, please contact me. If you have any questions, anything, any directions that you'd love to see the show go into, please let me know. I'll answer your question, maybe give you a shout out on air. And again, I thank you for coming on Wednesday. I know it's 8 o'clock in the morning, but thank you for being a part of the Gem Hunter Show. I enjoy it, and I hope each and every week I take you on a wonderful adventure on the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones and precious metals.
I'm hanging on your every word. The love inside, I feel it burn. I've never felt this way before. I've had a taste, now I want more. So here we are, just you and me. I'm overwhelmed when you touch me. You talk so sweet, I hear the sound. 'Cause when you do, my feet won't touch the ground. My feet won't touch the ground.
Hello, and good morning. Hope you can hear me. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. And I have to say that because this whole week has been, and I'm just going to be honest with you, it's been a technical nightmare. Yes, it has. Every day I've been either doing an interview or doing a Zoom call, and my sound has been off. And I was like, what is going on? What is going on? First, I thought it was the Zoom gods. Then I found out that wasn't that. Then I thought it was the StreamYard gods. Then I don't know about that because I kept calling them and they're like, no, it has to be your computer. It has to be your computer. So then I come to call Zoom and StreamYard again. And I said, look, I've checked all my functions. I looked everywhere. I've been like the tech guru this week. It is not my computer. So come to find out, I had to get a new account for both. So it wasn't my fault. And I feel good that I was able to prove that. Sometimes you just want to say to yourself, it's not always you. Sometimes it's the other things around. So I'm so glad that it's finally fixed and I can hear it. People can hear me. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you, Mr. Barry. Thank you so much. And you talked about, and he hit my heart when he started talking about the diamond, because my whole brand is regarding the Diamond Factor LLC. So I was like, wow, he's talking about what I love to talk about. But I know Barry always is. We had conversations about of course about the gemstones because that's what he is. He's just a genius in that. But I mean, one thing he did when I'll never forget this conversation. It started on Facebook, and then it got into me and him talking about the diamond. So, I'm all like, the diamonds and, it's the cut, it's the shaping, it's the molding. And I always bring that to people's lives, saying that, all that happens in your life. And, everybody's talking about diamonds forever and all that kind of stuff. In fact, it's funny when he was talking about the diamond, I thought about what popped in my head was James Bond. One of the movies, diamonds are forever, that. And I was thinking to myself, I said, oh my God, why am I going into this? And then after me and Barry talked about it, he said, Barbara, diamonds are kind of like not as sturdy as you think they are. And I was like, huh? I said, wait a minute, I have built, I have used a diamond as a symbol. And now you're telling me it's not as than it should be. And he's like, no, we need to talk. He said, but not trying to tell you to stop talking about diamonds. That's your brain. That's what you're doing. But just to let you know, since I'm the gym, jobologist, that I knew that I need to let you know and correct you. So, see, I'm saying all that because this is why it's so important to collaborate with others that know sometimes more than you in your own wheelhouse. So important. So important. Because I mean, I don't think I can ever say that, oh, I can't learn from anybody or I just need this group of people to talk to and they're gonna, no. I'm telling you, that's why listening skills, especially active listening skills, are so important because you don't know what you will miss out on from an individual that knows more of what you need. So with Barry, I'm just using an example, because we talked and he was talking about diamonds a day, is that I'm glad that we had that discussion, that he told me that. Because first of all, I want to make sure if that's something that I'm talking about, that I know the whole background and the history of it. I mean, anybody can just say, oh, pearls, this, that. There's a story around pearls that I didn't even know that he told me about. And I see, so that's what I'm saying. You need to really make sure that you talk to individuals, reach out, put the ego to the side. Put the ego to the side and tell yourself, how can I open my mind, open my brain, open my heart, open my soul, so I can take in the geniuses, I always say, the gifts and the talents of other people. I'm always talking about that we should respect each other's gifts and talents and just absorb it and learn and grow. I told myself if I ever stop learning and growing from things, I might as well I'm done. I'm out of here. Because it doesn't even make sense to be in this life and I'm not growing, I'm not collaborating, I'm not getting with others. So that's my talk today, and I'm sticking to it. So now let's go to my quote because I didn't come on earlier. So I got to give a quote. I got to give a quote in here. So every time I do a quote, I always tell people when you look at quotes, when you're reading quotes, read it more than one time. I have so many quotes that I save just for myself to inspire me and to keep me moving. That's one of the things I use with affirmations and listen to other speakers, and the list goes on because we all need our techniques of what we use. But when you read a quote, it seems like every time I reread a quote, I get something different out of it. I get a different understanding than I did when I first read it the first time. So this quote I've been reading for a while, and it's the difference between the impossible and the possible lies in a person's determination. And I always read it twice because sometimes I have to sing it. Okay. The difference between the impossible and the possible lies in a person's determination. So when people say, "Oh, it's impossible to do that. I don't think I can get that done." Well, where's your determination on it? Do you really want this? That's where all that comes in. It's like, okay, if you're just so easy to say, well, forget it. I know I can't do it. I mean, they did it, but I know I can. Well, okay, then you already xed out the determination and the possibilities of what you can do. So whatever you're doing, and I'm always talking about your PPD, purpose, passion, and drive. I always say foundation. Push, jump to it. Tell yourself, look, even if I always tell myself, even if I don't totally get the results that I thought that I was supposed to get or whatever, I tried. I pushed forward. I said to myself, I'm going to try to do this. I feel like that's better than to sit back and say, I didn't try anything. And then now you have regrets. I don't want anybody having any regrets. No regrets. Life is too short. We need to basically respect time in life. And I was saying this the other day on another platform about, it's time out. Time out for all the him and hammering around stuff. You need to just say, you know what, I'm determined to push forward in what I need to do. Period. And don't let anybody stop you. And stop looking to the right and stop looking to the left for people and seeing what everybody else is doing. You need to focus on you. Be determined on what you believe in. Because believe me, when people see how strong you believe in something, they jump on the bandwagon with you. So now you got the little cheerleaders and the people that's helping you saying, hey, go for it, Barry. Hey, go for it, Laura. Hey, go for it, Barbara. So that when you have those cheerleaders like it, this is like, yeah, hey, they with me. I'm going. I'm determined. I want to do it. So with that said, the difference between the impossible and the possible lies in the person's determination. So guess what? The work is on you. The work is on you. So with that, since I'm getting off my soapbox right now, I need to bring in some more genius on the stage, and that is Miss Laura Armstrong. And she's going to talk. I love her topics because she's cracking the code. She's cracking the code. And I know you're probably like, cracking the code? Yeah, she's cracking the codes. She's making us understand how personality is, and you kind of sit back and say, why do they act that way? Or why does Barbara act this way? Why is she so gun-ho? Well, in cracking the code and personality, my first letter is A, action. So I love to take action. So yeah, I want to be like all over the place because I want to get stuff done. And I don't sit back and be like, well, the square of blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. So you'll see, and I'm just using myself as an example, but you'll see how she takes you through that journey. And like I said, she has these sessions all the way up till April. So I'm so glad that we signed on together and she's going to be teaching us that because it's so important. Communication is the key. So with that, we are going to bring on Miss Laura. Here she comes.
Hi, everybody. It's Laura Armstrong here. I hope you're having a great day so far. I'm very excited to be here again this week. I love our series talking about communication. Communication is a huge tool that I use in my business leadership with Laura. A little bit about me. I am a 3-time world champion martial artist. I know what it takes to create a leadership legacy and implement that into your business. And communication is such a huge part of that because if our communication isn't what it needs to be, then we're going to have problems, and there's going to be a lot of disconnects along the way. So in my series, I work with a coding methodology called BANK, which is a personality assessment. And why it's special is because it's reverse engineered to teach you how to speak to the values that are important to people. And those values are very different from one person to another. And, you're a bit of each of the 4 codes. So BANK is an acronym for blueprint, action, nurturing, and knowledge. Last week, I covered the blueprint personality type, and we went over kind of what it embodies, what the values are, if you were married to one, if they were your kids, if you were dating one. And we're going to do the same today, but we're going to cover the action personality type. Now, action is my first code. And when Barbara was speaking, that's why we got along so well, because action is her first code as well. And you're going to find that when you're speaking to people, that the people that you resonate with the most are the ones who are actually the same code as you, your primary code, most of the time. Because it's a no-brainer. Like, you guys think the same way, the values you have are the same, and you're going to have a way easier time connecting with someone whose first code is the same as yours. So today we're going to talk about the action personality type. I love the action personality type. Of course, it's my primary. I love it because, these are your people who are your movers, your shakers, your millionaire makers. And the color of our action type in our BANK acronym is red. So red is like red hot, red carpets, VIP, all those kinds of things. And that reflects the action personality type. If we were looking at the box analogy for the blueprint, it was very much inside the box, rules, structures, processes, all and systems, all those kinds of things. So they're very much inside the box. Well, the action is actually completely outside of the box, right? They don't like rules. They don't like following the norm. They like to create new things and see what opportunities and possibilities there are out there. They don't have the limitations that the blueprint does. And next week, when we talk about the nurturing and the following with the knowledge, it's going to be very clear why each acronym or each personality type is very different from the other. Okay. So today we're going to focus, like I said, on the action. So they're like firecrackers that explode in your hands. The action personality type only knows how to operate at one speed, and that's full speed. And Barbara just told you that she's at full speed all the time, right? And you just, sometimes the action personality type can be a bit overwhelming. Like, they have big energy, right? So, I know that a lot of the time I have to tone down when I'm talking to different personality types. I can't be really action oriented. So right now I'm in action mode because I want you to understand what that's about. And that's not going to be appealing to everyone, because it's not the personality type that the values that I have are the same ones that would be important to you. But it's important to recognize it. Remember, when you're learning this coding methodology, you actually have to get out of your head and your own BANK code to speak to other people in the values that are important to them in their BANK code. That's where the communication magic happens, right? So you really want to be thinking about that, okay? So the action personality type likes to think they are a celebrity, and they are in, at least in their own mind. They want the VIP treatment, red carpet, the whole bit. They seem to be larger than life, and you can see and hear them coming. When they walk into a room, they're the one. When your head turns, that's who you're looking at, the action personality type, and that's what they want. They want to be admired, okay? So, a lot of the time with actions, people think that they're a bit narcissistic or egotistical, but really, once you get to know an action, they really want to help other people, and they really love to do it in a way that actually gives attention to them, but and they're going to benefit. But overall, they want to take action to create change in the world, right? And it's funny because I am a 3-time world champion martial artist. So for me, competition is huge. It still is to this day. And I am a typical action because I love winning. And for me, second place is the first loser. And that sounds a bit harsh, but in my action mindset, that makes total sense to me. If I can't win, why am I entering? Right? And I will do whatever it takes to win. I will go again and again and again. When I won my first world championship title, it took me 3 to 4 tries on not just a local, regional, and national and international level, but it took me 3 tries at the World Championships before I actually won my gold. I walk away with all sorts of silvers and bronzes. I didn't care about that. I wanted the world champion, right? So it was about my 4th time. And because they only run these things every 2 years, it was 8 years of my life before I actually won. So I never gave up, right? Very tenacious actions. So I'm going to go through a bit of the values that are important to them. So freedom is the first one. A's thrive on freedom, right? From anything that looks like a rule, a policy, or a restriction. And you never tell them what they have to do. And if you do, you have to make sure that you tell them in a competitive way. Otherwise, there's going to be this, right? And there's going to be an argument, right? So they want to think the idea came from them. Flexibility is another one. So flexibility means there's plenty of choices. I like my options. It's just really simple for me. So I could do this or I could do this. And then I'm thinking about, okay, so what's going to be the best opportunity for me here? Like what's going to serve me the best? And I'm just strictly in my A right now. Nurturing is my second code. So part of me is like, how can I help people with this? But if we're just talking action, I'm just all about how is this going to make me look good? How is this going to benefit me? Right? And I don't want you to think of that in a bad way, because what I'm doing will create action in the world and things will change, right? And that's what I want, right? So flexibility means choices. We're putting together an offer. You want to give them 2 or 3 options to choose, and that is really going to empower them to make a choice. And oh my gosh, if you make it FOMO, fear of missing out, a limited time offer, or first 5, they're going to jump at it. Okay, so you want to make sure your offer is attractive, and it's a limited time offer, and it's, the first 5 or first 3 who participate are going to get an extra bonus. They're going to go for it. They're going to jump at it. They will run to meet you at the back of the room to sign up. Okay, spontaneity is another great value. So nothing is more exciting for an 8 than to do something completely unpredictable, uncalculated, and unplanned. So for instance, I would say to my husband, okay, honey, we're going to jump off the cliff and see if there's water underneath, but it's going to be really fun. He's like, he's a blueprint, which I talked about last week. He's the opposite of me. He's like, no way. I'm not having nothing to do with that. He's like, I want to measure the tides, make sure there's enough water. I'm not going to die. How far are we jumping? How long is it going to take, right? He's analyzing all this stuff. Meanwhile, I'm already in the water, right? So for me, I love doing like trips, and God love him, he just goes with it with me because he knows the way I am, and he knows that whatever we do, it's going to have a great outcome, make me happy, and in the end he's going to enjoy himself. So he really does make an effort to please me, but he knows that he's going to be pleased as well, right? So actions take action. So massive action separates the A's from other personalities. They are movers, they are shakers, like I said, and millionaire makers for a reason, okay? If they can get up to speed literally with an A, you can close more sales, okay? You really are. You're going to close more sales in less time. You're going to be able to speak in the codes of other people. But if you're working with an action, good example here, I had my insurance guy selling James, my husband, and I insurance. And the insurance guy was a blueprint, just like my husband. He gave me all the information I needed, what was going to happen, what the cost was, what the benefits were, and I was done in 20 minutes. He stayed 2 hours because my husband needed all the other information. And it was interesting. So at the end of the conversation, I said, okay, I'm ready to sign. He looked at me, he's like, what do you mean you're ready to sign? He goes, I have to come back with the paperwork. I have to check a few things. I'm like, no, I'm ready to sign now. We're good. You got our business. And it was interesting because he had his process about how he'd sign up clients and make sure that he had all his ducks in a row. He eventually came to me for training with bank, and he has not only learned to recognize the other 4 codes and how much of an action I was, that he didn't need 2 or 3 visits. He could have closed the sale in the first one, right? And so now when he visits his clients, he has them do their bank code, so he knows their primary and secondary code and how to speak to them and the values that are important to them and close more sales in less time. Because not only are the clients feeling like they're being heard, he's serving them in the way they want to be served. It's the same with the action, okay? So they don't need as much of your time. And I'm telling you, my attention span sometimes, For an A attention span, you got maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes, and it better be entertaining, or I'm on my phone looking at something. And it has nothing to do with you. I just don't have a long attention span. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with action personality types. It's really, really important. Okay. Opportunity. So A's love opportunity. If you tell them they have an opportunity, they will come running. Focus on the word opportunity with your A's and you'll immediately pique their interest. They're all about what is possible and, what can happen here. Okay. So you're also going to get the most traction out of your actions for new opportunities. So always approach them, but make sure you do it in their language. Okay. Excitement. You could substitute another A word here, and that would be adrenaline. So if it's exciting, it's not boring. And if you're bouncing up and down with your energy, speaking faster and louder, they will want to be part of what you're offering, right? You're engaging them with you. If your primary personality isn't action, you're probably rolling your eyes or feeling a little sick to your stomach or like, enough already, she's so phony. Or because, this is so far out of your comfort zone, it's not the norm. But remember, this is why you were investing time training with me. Okay, to learn to speak the language of other personalities, right? And get out of your own head about things. You don't have to change who you are and talk that way all the time. You do have to bring the energy and the excitement when you're doing business with actions. Okay. Attention. Okay, this is another good one. The action personality type thinks it's all about me, me, me. Okay. When meeting with an action client, okay, everything you do must focus the spotlight on them. Make them the star of the show and you'll make a lot more dough. And I'm telling you, it's the truth. Okay. Stimulation. A's require stimulation. You probably heard the term ADD. Okay. From the medical or psychological world. Action personality types have been labeled as ADD as children. And that's a wrong thing, but it's not actually. They get bored easily. Take them to environments that are stimulating to their eyes and ears where they can do stuff. A lot of ADD children are actually high action, and the parent just doesn't know what to do with them because they're not used to having a child like that, right? So a lot of the time, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, it's just another option for the way that you can think about action children, okay? Competition. A's love competition. They compete to win. It's non-negotiable. And I can tell you that from my personal experience, okay? So create competition. So you could look for ways to create a feeling of competition for your action personality types. Customers, right? It could be telling them how your company is competing with another company in the same marketplace. They will want to do business with you to help you take first place. They love contests. So that's another way. Okay. You can create contests that will incent your A's to behave in ways that increase your production. You could have a contest for the one who gives the most referrals or the most sales that month or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what the contest is. Just find a way to create competition and the action personality type will totally engage. Okay. Winning. A's compete to win. They are compelled to win. I totally understand this. A's can be a bit pompous and have a little bit of a mightier than thou personality type. Winning drives them. Find ways to create winning opportunities for your action prospects. And you know what? They're going to be your biggest fans. Fun. If you can make your appointment fun, they're totally all in. How can you present your product in a way that inspires fun and best in class for your A's? And we'll highlight them and it will contribute to, the opportunity that they're looking for. And lastly, image. Okay. So the action personality type is all about image. They demand the best. So dress to impress when you meet them. Action personality types will give it away. They love to wear name brands, Louis Vuitton, Jimmy Choo, Polo, all sorts of different brands that are out there. They want to be seen. That's why they're wearing it. And they love to have that acknowledged. Okay. Remember, A's love competition, but have to win. So outdressing them does not create a win for them. You always want them to look a little bit better than you when you're working with them. Remember to compliment them on the way they're dressed, their designer watch, their handbag or shoes, and they actually wore it so that you would notice them, okay? So you want to be making sure that you're feeding into that. So just a few sales tips when you're working with the actions. So be cool and dress to impress, okay? You got to look good. Display excitement and enthusiasm. Skip small talk. Get straight to the bottom line. That's what they're there to hear, and you're going to see them start to glaze over if you just start to blah, blah, blah. Okay. That information may be important to you, but it doesn't necessarily, they're not going to feel it's important to them. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Have a sense of urgency. Remember, time is money. Okay. So those are a few good sales tips for you. If you're dating in action, make sure that whatever you plan is fun and engaging, and maybe there might be a little bit of competition in there, and it wouldn't hurt to let them win. Okay. Just look really good. Okay. Make sure that you are being being yourself, and just really know that when you speak to them, you're going to use the values that I just spoke about, because they're not going to let you down. They're going to show you a great time on a date. Okay. When you're in a relationship with an A, you really have to remember that they just want answers. So many times when I was with my husband, I could see him working through the process of getting to an answer for me. And I would say to him, I don't have time for your process. And it wasn't a mean way. It's just, I would start to glaze over. I didn't care, because as an action, I just wanted a yes or no at the end of the conversation. And honestly, I'm just telling you the truth. So he would go and he would work out the details of what he wanted to tell me, and he'd come back with an answer, and he'd say yes or no. And I'm like, great, that's all I needed. He was in shock, right? I'm like, no, honey, I'm just telling you, this is what I need, right? And so now our conversation is much more engaging that way, because he knows that I need to be spoken to in my code, so that we can have better communication, and vice versa. I always speak to him in his code so that he's feeling like he's being heard as well. Okay. So remember, when you're working with A's in relationships, you want to make sure that you're open to possibility, incitement, fun, but be a good communicator with them and get your point across right away. Okay. So if you want to keep the attention of the A, make something exciting, sexy, energetic, or spontaneous, and they're going to want to be a part of what you have. Okay. The goal is to make them think that you are cool like they are. This means you just dress to impress, but don't outdo them. Be excited, enthusiastic, but make sure you get straight to the bottom line and have a sense of urgency as you sell the sizzle, the lifestyle, and the dream. That's what they're looking for. Okay. And don't give too many details. Leave the spreadsheets and the flowcharts at the office. Give them the bottom line and give them the recognition that celebrities are looking for. And introduce them to your other successful A personalities. They love name dropping, right? So make sure you drop those names when you're talking to them. So that's our training for today, a little bit about the A. Next week, we're going to be covering the nurturer, some of my favorite people, and I love talking about them. Take care, everyone. I will see you then, and have a great week. Bye for now.
That is, oh my God, I told you Laura brings in the info. So now we all understand how action people operate. The part that I loved everything she said, but the biggest part I love is she said, we bring the fun. We bring the fun. So if you go out with us, or having whatever, we will be like, yeah, we're there. Come on, let's do it. That's why you always be doing this. I've been loving dance ever since I was like this high. Get a little bit older. I dance better chair dancing sometimes than like on the floor, but I'll still try it. It's not like I won't just say no, I can't do it. But believe me, I groove a little bit better when I'm in my chair now. So people be like, wow, she really getting down. Don't let me get up. But no, I love, like I said, please, I hope you have a pen and paper when Laura comes on. This is so much good information. You understand how to communicate with others. So important. I know, what kills me, and I'm just going to put it out there before I end the show, is that we need more. I know right now we're in a pandemic and we have to do a lot of video conferencing and talking online. I get it, and I'm glad it is here because how about if we didn't have all this? That would be kind of that would be a whole nother world of oh my god, I gotta talk to somebody. Even if you don't like talking to people, I think people would just lose it because it's like you'd be kind of just in your world, in your house, and not able to communicate at all. So I thank God that we do have these, technology that we can use, even though sometimes it don't work sometimes, but it still is here. But what really is kind of a pet peeve of mine, and I just want to bring this to everybody's attention. There's so many different platforms and outlets of social media that you go on. I mean, you got your Facebook, you got your LinkedIn, you got your Instagram, and then, for meetings, you got your Zooms and all of this. There's a ton of platforms. And now the new shiny object that everybody's on is Clubhouse, which I found out because I'm still not on yet due to the fact that I don't have an iPhone just yet, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. It's a place where I'm hearing, and this is what I'm hearing now from friends, that, it's good networking. You get to meet people, especially some people that are like maybe, not the upper salon, if you want to call it. But it's all vocal. I mean, basically, you don't see each other. I mean, there's no video. It's just like you're just going into rooms, and then talking. And I'm not down in Clubhouse at all. In fact, I'm loving it where it's giving people opportunities and more networking, business wise and personal wise. But the thing that, and I'm just using this example because I feel like I still need that just seeing a person and talking to them. I can see their body language. They can see my body language. I can see how you feel. It's like when you hide behind the microphone in a sense and can't see, it's kind of like, well, we need, that's to me, that's a little broken communication. That's just like I said, this is my pet peeve. Anybody else might think differently, but I just need to kind of see you. Even though I'm on here right now, this is like a TV streaming show. I know that you're out there. I see some numbers in and out. I hope that you're listening to me. I hope I'm giving you good value. But at least you see me talking, communicating. And if I tell you I'm giving you a hug, I'm giving you a virtual hug. If I'm telling you that I'm really strong about something, you can see it. I believe it. I believe in it. If I'm sad about something that, I need to really resonate with somebody, just, so sad. And I know you can do that by voice because as being a speaker, I get it. You can do that. But it's so nice to get that video that's just I can see. So, when you are speaking to people, don't let that go to the wayside. Don't let that go to the wayside. That's how we build relationships. I don't care what, if your action, blueprint, whatever. It's just nice to get to see a person when you're talking to them. So that's my version of it. I'm sticking to it. So with that, we will see you on Friday. I'm bringing in some more authors of the collaboration book, Make It Happen. I'm a part of that collaboration book. And I asked the person at the visionary that's over it, Mrs. Kern, and we're bringing some lovely people that are in the book that will express themselves, give you some background, the backstory of why they, did their chapter, and just to get to know them a little bit more and to support the authors out there because it takes that extra to get pen and paper, and put your story out there, and not just write on a piece of paper, but then publish it so everybody can see it. So I just say that's so awesome, and that's why I love talking to them because you learn their stories and then you learn why, and then they give you hope through their story. So with that, come on Friday and get a chance to listen to authors. And I have a special guest. Madeline won't be here this Friday. She'll be back next Friday. But I always have a special person or people, it might be more than one, to come on and give you some inspiration or some information or awareness, because that's what this show is about. Also, if you want to be a sponsor for this show, that means that you can have a commercial to air every day when the show is on. Contact me and we can talk. If you have your services, you have your product, if you have a nonprofit organization, whatever it is, I would love for you to be a sponsor for the show and to show what you have for others. With that, remember your PPD, your purpose, your passion, and your drive in you is the foundation. That's what I say because it just doesn't move you to what you need to do. but it moves that genius, that gifts, those talents that are in you, moves throughout the world because they need you. We all need each other. Like I said earlier, let's collaborate together and work together so we can lift each other up instead of tearing each other down. So with that, I will see you Friday. Friday.